Tonight on Joy News Prime, a 43-year-old breast cancer patient whose situation is deteriorating because she can't afford health care is being thrown out of a rented accommodation. The Speaker of Parliament has directed a parliamentary probe into the alleged misappropriation of $159 million in the Saglemi Affordable Housing Project. This was after the Works and Housing Minister told the House the contract terms were illegally varied.
Into this matter which has appeared before the House in all its aspects.
A former Deputy Works and Housing Minister is however disputing the claim.
He said this 3 years ago, that they were taking those corporates to court. 3 years ago that he said it. All you know in the country, last year he generated heated discussions in the country.
In this bulletin, Information Minister says Supreme Court order to EC to justify disallowance of existing voter IDs as proof of eligibility should not be basis for jubilation.
The Electoral Commission is doing something. A party feels aggrieved, has applied to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, before it makes a decision, order or term pattern must apply.
Former President Rawlings, meanwhile, wants the EC to be allowed to do its work.
The Electoral Commission, which is the fulcrum of our multi-party democracy, must be supported and protected by all stakeholders.
The former president is sporting a new look as he stepped out to commemorate the 41st anniversary of the June 4 uprising. And in business,
frustrations grow at Tema Port over new Unipart system as pressure mounts on government to revert to GCnet West Blue contract.
For how many days now, duties have not been paid, revenues have not been raised. Sometimes when you go to some of the, sometimes when you go to the offices, their systems are not working.
I'm Israel anchoring Joy News Prime Live on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air.
And my name is Aisha Ibrahim, coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle on digital address GA09925339. Also on GoTV channel 144 and DSTV channel 421. Please stay tuned in.
Now, very first story is one that's quite disturbing, but one that needs to be told. It's about 43-year-old Agnes Dogbe, who has cancer in her left breast, a condition that keeps worsening by the day because she's unable to afford the requisite treatment. The mother of two said they struggle to eat and keep the home as her health condition reaches a deteriorating stage with no help on the horizon. But her landlord in Kaswa will have none of that because her rent has expired. We'll hear from the landlord shortly, but first watch this piece by host of Prime Morning, Daniel Darty.
I'm at Weja Old Barrier here in Accra. I've come to see someone who has been trapped by poverty and imprisoned by disease. A 43-year-old mother of two who has been suffering from breast cancer for over a year. Can't breathe. Agnes, good morning.
Sorry. Here we are. Are you safe for the how many months? Also, maybe the same anything.
For
more than.
Papa rejected me.
Where then are we trying for
Oh, dear mommy. Many simple. This card, mammy, name of Francis. You shall not buy and you may. 50 CDs. Oh, Madame. Menene on sitting baby, Miss Meeting baby. But I say, ya fine who say, Enuanum. It's maybe a chumuna, menene bepe dine. I said, baby, all one so it's a bepe dine one. I said, 4 to 5 months me tenenka. And I may yana motu say me ba abeshen. Already I didn't know. The kind who assassin. And then you say, Bear debia, a baby. I didn't be any sin. As I mean, who no bear 2 to 5 months. Me baha. And I'm the home. In fact, Danona, I will welcome. And I'm who send nipa ye mobile pa. Because we are soon Udabria Ed. Timmy Behono, not Danokra the Obedin or Nibi. To whom na midjay skakakra etuno. So on the unfanye. But send a missing who are dear no. A crony a son in Suno, make coy meant me under. No send Tempamwa or say I did Chammy Saba. I did cheer me by. Enemy and near me womb. To Debia there was some behen. Debiada or some behen, Sena. Nihosity. Tinidiani dear money, Samuna Edibesin in your mana cannon or no to me a cacra crasse or Pusan your man. But see a dear. I did some.
A year, how is it like?
Any mamma, many more casas is no. No for no. No. Ah, baby, no. They say I mean, may be any hope you. Kuro. Me walk all a book, and I'm no for Nasia, and one a pie. But my mom will. I can't say. My mom who are almost congealed. Let me obey Colana, mammy. But to me, friends, you sir. They abandoned your mammy. It's your knife for ya, when it for ya, family. I did quite here, asked me over here. I know that may die, and this you not for no son. Yammoa. I don't can name my Yammoa, the men and miniature. Okay, for a palm.
Now, Agnes Dogbe says the landlord has taken the keys to her room.
Niante a mepɛ sɛ mentu no no ɔno ankasa ɛka ɛwɔ n'ano sɛ ɔpɛ sɛ ɔnkɔ ne sika san ɔno ana ɔka kyerɛ me sɛ ne sika san ɔbɛfi ya akɔ nti me ka kyerɛ me nua baako ɔno nti ha ɔno ɔhia
I am evicting her because she hinted earlier that she would like to move when her deposit expires. She told me herself that when her deposit expires, she would leave. So I told one of my brothers who also needs a place to rent that the occupants will leave when her deposit expires. So we went to see the woman and told her my brother will take over when she leaves. She used to live with her brother in the room, but they had a little problem, which made him leave. so she was left alone in the room. Her brother came back, but she didn't allow him to enter the room because of what he did. The guy was involved in womanizing and robbery. That's why the woman didn't want to engage him. Her deposit has expired long ago. She doesn't pay any. I pay everything. It expired on the 11th of last month, but I extended it to 20th June. Her rent expired on the 11th of last month. She can't pay for anything. I have been covering her bills.
The rent now, dada. Okay. Dada. On to me to actually, me and me to last 11th and a year, but me or buy no me on the 20th. It's 20th of.
What's your about December?
That people had December. About last year, 2019, okay. And okay.
Yeah. So viewers who would want to support Agnes can reach Daniel and the team on 054-630-3435 or 020-251-6515. And I'll run that numbers by you again, 054-630-3435 or 020-251-6515. Now, the Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Michael Quay, has directed a parliamentary probe into the alleged misappropriation of about $159 million meant for the Saglemi housing project. Works and Housing Minister Samuel Atachia told Parliament in about a month an additional audit of expenditures on the housing project will be completed to pave way for the prosecution of some former NDC government officials. He says although almost $200 million was paid to the contractor for 5,000 housing units, only 1,000 have been built. He claims former Works and Housing Minister Collins Dada varied the contract terms after parliamentary approval, which was illegal. Mr. Atachia told the media outside Parliament House $40 million of $80 million released to the contractor initially for mobilization was diverted.
Honorable Speaker, for the purposes of argument, let us credit the contractor with having constructed 1,024 housing units, holding all factors constant. That translates into United States dollars 40,960. Given the fact that the contract sum of 200 million United States dollars was to roll out 5,000 housing units. Ergo, Mr. Speaker, the contractor has misappropriated the sum of United States dollars 159 million United States dollars 40,000. Right Honorable Speaker, the contract has lapsed according to the opinion of the Attorney General delivered on the 8th day of May 2019. The Attorney General assessed a strong position in law that all the contracts purportedly signed by Honorable Collins Dada MP and thereafter some wayward chief directors after the original contract has received parliamentary approval are void ab initio and have no legal consequence. At the moment, the Ghana Institution of Surveyors are engaged in a value for money audit. Mr. Speaker, their findings will indicate the extent of embezzlement of state resources via the vehicle of affordable housing delivery. All the traducers of the law will be arraigned before a court of competent jurisdiction to answer criminal charges. Civil action shall be used to recover monies lost to the state. The audit will also project how much money will be required to complete the 5,000 units with full amenity.
But former Deputy Works and Housing Minister Samson he denies the claim some former government officials misappropriated money. He is daring Mr. Atachia to go ahead with the prosecution, noting the minister has issued such threats before to no avail.
He said this 3 years ago that they were taking those corporates to court. 3 years ago that he said it. Well, you know, in the country, last year, it generated heated discussions in the country. We have been waiting for when that court matter will start. Everybody is also ready to respond because we didn't do anything untoward. I mean, you are saying it. I've explained it to you. So if you think that what he has done is an empty threat, say it. Nobody varied the contracts. Parliament approved $200 million to the Ministry of Works and Housing to undertake 5,000 housing unit projects. In fact, in that agreement, it was stated that they should use $200 million to build up to 5,000 housing units. That was the word used, up to 5,000 housing units. There's a difference between commercial agreements, which came to Parliament for Parliament to approve. That had the $200 million to construct 5,000 housing units. And it's different from the EPC agreement, which you come up after the engineers have done the designs. If you are saying that use $200 million to build 5,000 housing units, what you are saying is that you should not even think about water. You should not think about power to the site. You are not even talking about drainage systems on site. You are not talking about sewage systems on site. So you are saying that $200 million used to build 5,000 housing units. It doesn't work that way. So in the initial agreement signed by E.T. Mensah, this one was not even done by Collins Dauda. The agreement that was signed by E.T. Mensah and the contractor, they stated in it that the project will be executed in 4 phases.
Now, even before the prosecutions begin, Speaker Professor Michael Quay has directed the Works and Housing Committee to look into the issues and report back within 2 weeks.
The Houses Committee on Works and Housing, the leadership of the Constitutional and Legal Committee are to join to look into this matter which has appeared before the House in all its aspects and report as a matter of urgency to this Honorable House within 2 weeks.
Now, the Electoral Commission has been directed to provide legal basis for saying it will not accept the existing voter ID as proof of eligibility for enrollment onto the new register, which is about to be compiled. The order was given by the Supreme Court, and court correspondent Joseph Akaple joins us with details. Hello, Joseph. So you tell us exactly what the Supreme Court is asking of the Electoral Commission.
So the Supreme Court is asking the Electoral Commission to file legal arguments showing the basis upon which it believes that the upcoming voter registration exercise that it intends to carry out will not allow individuals who have the existing voters ID as proof of, 1, being Ghanaians, and 2, being eligible to participate in the upcoming elections. And so the Supreme Court is asking that those legal arguments be filed at the Supreme Court by Monday, June 8, 2020, after which the other parties in the case, the Attorney General's office and the NDC that took this particular matter to court, will have the opportunity to respond on points of law if they are minded to do so.
Now, considering that the Electoral Commission is about to start the compilation of a new voters register, how quickly can this case be dispatched so that they can go ahead?
In fact, we understand that this is something that the court is very mindful of. Chief Justice Kwesi Enin-Yeboah did make the point that there is even a preliminary objection that the AG's office has raised relating to the substantive case. But they believe that with this request that they are making of the Electoral Commission, it goes a step further to ensure that they deal with it expeditiously. And that is why they've given them up until Monday. The next court date has been fixed for 11th, which is just a few days after Monday when they filed those legal arguments. And so the expectation is that the Supreme Court will bring this matter to a closure before the Electoral Commission commences the registration exercise, so that at least they will know as to whether the exercise they are undertaking has legal backing and whether or not to allow persons who have the existing voters ID card to participate. We understand the legal objection that the Attorney General's office is raising relates to the constitutional instrument that is currently before Parliament, and we understand it's expected to be approved on Tuesday. And so the AG's office, we understand, is arguing that currently the NDC cannot allege that persons who have existing voters' ID have been excluded because there's no law in force saying that persons who have that ID card cannot register, because that law has not been passed yet. And so they are making the point that that application is a bit premature. But all these are matters that once it gets to the apex court on June 11, we'll get some answers.
All right, thank you very much, Joseph Akable, our court correspondent. Now, we're getting some reaction from the Minister of Information. He says there is no basis for anyone to jubilate over the Supreme Court order asking the Electoral Commission to provide a legal basis for deciding not to accept the existing voters' ID card. So speaking to the media outside Parliament, he said the directive only reflects the judicial principle of fairness.
My understanding is that the Supreme Court has requested the Electoral Commission to furnish it with its legal grounds on which it is proceeding. Because the Electoral Commission is doing something, a party feels aggrieved, has applied to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, before it makes a decision, order or term pattern must apply. They must ask the other party. This is not an ex-party motion. So
coming events could be casting their shadow, something.
I don't think we should jump ahead.
No. Former President Rawlings is asking Ghanaians to respect the mandate of the Electoral Commission in the compilation of the voters' register. Addressing cadres on the 41st anniversary of the June 4 uprising, he said the commemorations allow for introspection of the way the state and citizens have conducted their affairs. He, however, added the answer to the backlash from the public is consultations with various stakeholders.
The Electoral Commission, which is the fulcrum of our multi-party democracy, must be supported and protected by all stakeholders to ensure a free and fair election and a peaceful society. That notwithstanding, it is equally important for that revered institution to ensure that the processes leading to this year's elections are done in consultation with the stakeholders of the nation to prevent unnecessary suspicion and promote a peaceful and cohesive society. An election is an event, but building a democratic, free and peaceful society is a process. So the debate surrounding the new voters' register must be thoroughly examined so we do not undermine the successes we have chalked so far as a nation. In addition, the constitutional mandate of the Electoral Commission must be respected by all. While we work towards perfecting our electoral process, I urge you all to pursue and sustain our uniqueness as a country in the democratization process. The sanctity of the right of choice is not a matter we can compromise on.
The former president said a bit more, which we have captured in the following slides. And definitely, he says, fellow countrymen and women, let me on your behalf say a big thank you to our soldiers and service personnel for the reward of the victory of that fateful June 4th. I thank you all, not only for June 4, but for 31st December as well, which preempted a repetition of another even bloodier June 4th because people felt betrayed by the elite and political leadership. We must be reminded that we are a country born out of difficult situations where some had to toil and shed their blood. The positive, disruptive force and energy of June 4th was not a product of any political movement or action. The spontaneous eruption on that fateful day represented, and he says, we must be reminded that we are a country born out of difficult situation. He says, the unadulterated spirit of liberation that was collectively sought after is what it represents as a nation at the brink of collapse. Nothing more has signified or exemplified the patriotism and resilience of Ghanaians than in those difficult moments. Many were those who sacrificed their lives and livelihoods in order to bequeath to subsequent generations a more just society with equal opportunities for all, irrespective of their religion, tribe, ethnicity, political or educational status. You can visit the Joy News social media pages for a lot more. Our handle is Joy News on TV. And to other stories, there's tension among members of the New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region as the party prepares to release the list of qualified aspirants for its impending parliamentary primaries. The list to be released on Friday is expected to reveal perceived protected seats and resolve issues surrounding qualified aspirants and others whose aspirations are in contention. This has become relevant after a new date was set for the elections due to the COVID-19 restrictions. Nana Ojima has been speaking with the regional organizer of the NPP on plans to hold the parliamentary elections in that region.
The election of NPP parliamentary aspirants for 44 constituencies in the Ashanti region and others across the country was postponed from April 25th this year due to COVID-19 restrictions. After a party leadership meeting, the NPP has set 20th of June as the new date following the ease of restrictions. Only 17 out of 121 candidates who declared intentions to contest the elections failed to make the vetting stage conducted earlier this year. They, however, have an option to be reinstated by the National Executive Committee, who will decide on the final list. Education Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, his deputy Yao Osei Educhum, and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Osei Chei Mensah-Bonsu are among those expected to run unopposed. Regional organizer Francis Adomako explains steps being taken to deal with possible divisions that may occur due to disqualification of some candidates.
This weekend, the regional executive body would sit together and have a meeting. And apart from what the General Secretary will bring, we as a region too, our preparation towards this primaries. Like we said, all those who are involved in the contest especially, will meet them and talk to them. So that, because look, at the end of the day, if we finish the contest and there are so many people who are aggrieved, it won't help the party. This is the stronghold. So when we are doing things, we have to do things very well. So I personally believe that it's going to be a before and after primaries. Before, what the party need to do, we'll meet the various contestants and talk to them. After the primaries too, we'll meet them and talk to them, so that after the primaries, we'll go with a united front.
On the conduct of the elections, Mr. Adomako says a decision has been made to hold elections in electoral areas instead of the constituencies. He says further measures will be taken by the party leadership in the region to ensure safety.
In other words, the number of polling stations will all meet at that particular electoral area. After the election has taken place in the electoral area, counting is done, then the results are brought to one particular center where the final will put all the figures together. Then the one who emerged the winner will be announced. Campaign. Moreover, what I will also advise the various contestants also to do is that they should talk to their followers as well. That as much as they go about from one house, from one electoral area to the other campaigning, they should adhere to the safety protocols.
Reporting for Joy News, Nana Ojima, Kumasi.
And so to come in this bulletin, frustrations grow at the Tema Port over new Unipass system as pressure mounts on government to revert to GCnet West Blue contract.
Have not been paid. Revenues have not been raised. Sometimes when you go to some of the offices, their systems are not working.
There is more in business when we return from this break. And it's time now for business. Sandra Apeno is here with the very latest from the business world. Sandra.
Yes, we are going to the Tema Port.
It's been busy this whole week.
Yes, 4 days now and they have issues. So yes.
Take it away, Sandra.
All right, celebrating 25 years of joy. My name is Sandra Estinamafen. Let's do business. It's been 4 days since the new customs management system was enforced at the Tema Port. Freight forwarders and clearing agents are still struggling to clear their goods. Clearly, businesses at the ports are disappointed at the turn of events. Listen to some of them.
For how many days now, duties have not been paid, revenues have not been raised. Sometimes when you go to some of the, sometimes when you go to the offices, their systems are not working. They will be angry with you.
Calling for solution.
Another thing, this is that the contract has been abrogated. The judgment is over $250 million. Who is going to pay for it?
We paid duties in a GCNet system. Now GCNet is off. It doesn't even reflect in unit. So how do you expect us to work? How do you expect us to work? Why is that? At least we should find solutions to everything as soon as possible.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is concerned about the delays leading to demurrage and red charges. President of the association is Dr. Joseph Obeng.
The delays cost us a lot in terms of demurrage payments and then the rent charges as well. And especially when it is not our fault, the problems that is being created, then we will ask who bears the cost. Who bears the cost? Is it us or government or what authority? That's what we are trying to avoid. But if this problem persists into next week, it means that those new goods that are coming are also going to compound with what is happening this week and all that. It means that the problem is going to be very big. So the earlier we solve it, the better. What I do not understand is that this thing is becoming perennial. Anytime that we are migrating into new system, this thing happens. What lessons are we learning? From time immemorial, this is what has been happening. And so this particular one, we try to seek if this thing is not going to reoccur. And we knew that pilot programs have been established and all that. So this is the least that we are expecting to happen.
So on the challenges at the Tema Port, former Energy Minister Emmanuel Armah Kofi-Buah is calling on government to simply revert to GCNet and West Blue to manage transactions. He spoke to Joy Business after Parliamentary Select Committee on Trade and Industry visited the Tema Port.
Even in the face of obvious reports that the system was not fit for purpose, it was going to not only help government lose revenue, it was going to bring hardship to traders. This government, as usual, for its own pride, refused to listen to reason. Today, this is the result. They tell us the Minister of Trade was here 3 days and gave them up to yesterday that the system will be rectified. They are still curious. We are in COVID, a period where we do everything to avoid crowding and avoid stress and people lining up. Have you seen the congestion of traders just trying to pay their duties? They are spending 24 hours here. Some of them has been here since Monday. They have not even been able to go. The system is not working. This government must basically put away its unnecessary pride and accept that the steps they're taking has not been working. And bring GCNet, West Blue, then continue with the work.
Away from the Tema Port, tourism hospitality sector loses $171 million to coronavirus. Details coming up shortly, but first, Commander Sugar Factory to be revived once borders are reopened. Details plus more in the business news summary.
The Trade and Industry Minister, Alan Tremantin, says the Commander Sugar Factory will be revived once the country's borders reopen. the country's borders have remained closed as part of measures to curb the spread of the coronavirus. Tourism Minister Barbara Otinjosi has revealed Ghana's tourism and hospitality industry has lost a whopping $171 million due to the effects of COVID-19. She's also announced plans to improve domestic tourism with the See Ghana, Wear Ghana, Feel Ghana agenda. The first Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afari, says the bank is working on establishing a sandbox to promote innovation in the financial market and also test some concepts, including the establishment of a central bank digital currency. Dr. Opoku-Afari, who was speaking at a virtual stakeholder workshop on Payment Systems and Services Act.
That's all for now, but we have a conversation on food prices when I return after 8 p.m. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you for joining us on The Sport. I'm Gary Al Smith. And in keeping with our analysis of the COVID situation, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi has a report where he explores how the Ghanaian Top Flight League, the Ghana Premier League, is facing big financial challenges in looking to come back.
The Minister of Youth and Sports, Isaac Esiama, announced that it would cost about $60,000 per match if games are to be played behind closed doors. This revelation casts further doubt on the potential resumption of football anytime soon. He added that the major challenge of the association is monetary.
I think that there's quite a number of challenging areas, so to say. Obviously, it all comes down to money. Because if you want to embark on an elaborate educational campaign, it's money. If you have to get access to the PPEs, it's money, okay? Of course, clubs will have to play or may have to play behind closed doors. It means money will be lost. The National Sports Authority will have to prepare the facilities for us, because some of the clubs use their facilities. There's a question about money, etc., etc. So it is money. Money plays a big part. That's the gospel truth.
FIFA and CAF both announced $500,000 and $200,000 package to be given to each member association to help them in these difficult times caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Many have suggested that this money should be used to cushion members of the Ghana Football Association. The president explained what the financial packages are meant for.
FIFA spoke about two key sources of funding. One is statutory. It's money that we receive for the management of the FA every year, which usually would arrive in your accounts in the month of July after having met 10 key criteria or 10 key points. And then the special COVID-19 emergency fund, which is to support member associations during this challenging period, okay? And then there's also a statutory yearly subventions from CAF, which is $200,000, which has been announced, which also comes every year, okay? So that is not specifically for a COVID-19 alleviation strategy, so to say. But that is definitely not enough.
Ghana Football Association had scheduled to end the current suspended football season on July 26, 2020. However, the restrictions are still in force for contact sports until July 31, when the decision would be reviewed.
Well, a few days ago, RB Leipzig head coach Julian Nagelsmann issued a challenge for his star player Timo Werner to make up his mind. Stay or go, just make the call. Now, for those interested in the 24-year-old goal machine, the challenge is similar. His contract has a €55 million buyout, and RB Leipzig are unwilling to deal otherwise. However, let's take a look at who he is. If you go to our Instagram account, you will find that Timo Werner is currently second on the Bundesliga scorers chart. He has scored 25 goals this season alone. Now, the big news for Chelsea fans is that tonight, apparently, your club is already done signing him. Just a few things to sort out. So, who is Timo Werner, who most of the clubs in England have been chasing? This is your player, Chelsea.
And it's time now for Showbiz. Becky is here with the very latest from that world. Becky, what's up for business? Lady in black.
Oh, yes, lady looking
Like a zebra.
Aisha, Becca has been trending the whole of today. The reason why she's been trending is because of a tweet she put out there. I'll read the tweet for you. She says that you are here in Africa fighting and advocating racism in the U.S., but in your church/home, you're criticizing and judging someone for marrying a fellow African because you are not from the same tribe or hometown, country, church. Then she said hypocrite. So the likes of Lydia Forcing, Amake Abebrese, we have the tweets.
We definitely come at them. And Amake says they are both wrong. However, it's incomparable to equate the fight for the systemic racism in the USA to African tribalism in marriage and hypocrisy. You can highlight that without appearing to diminish the fight about police brutality. Murder is not marriage, love always. And that's coming from Amake
Abebrese. But I think just this evening, not too long ago, Becca came out to say that you guys are taking her comment out of context. So please don't do that. So that's what she wrote. She wrote something very long, Aisha.
What racism affects all of us, disregarding the color of our skin. As Africans, one of our biggest history is racism, and it's time we put this to an end. However, as Africans back home, what are we doing to combat xenophobia, tribalism, nepotism, and common differences? So my earlier tweet should not be taken out of context.
So that is coming from Becca. But Aisha, yesterday I told you about Billboard's most watched artist in Ghana, and Diana Hamilton happens to be the number four, and the only female, and she's actually the only gospel musician
among them.
So she's been reacting to this. She says that she's very grateful for the love and the support.
I just want to say a big thank you to God and to everyone that has sent a message to congratulate me or posted on any social media platform to congratulate me on my inclusion in the Billboard's top 5 most watched artists in Ghana. To me, it's a sobering thoughts for me as a gospel musician, a female for that matter, and I am forever grateful to God. But this goes a long way to say that God can use anybody, can take any vessel and use that person with consistency and hard work to bring glory to himself. And so I'm praying that more people will be raised, will keep on raising the bar high. Gospel has definitely come a long way, and God is not done with us yet. And so God bless.
Thanks so much for bringing us to Ms. Vicky. It's always fun to have you.
Some residents of Ubuom Hills Valley in the Dom Kwabenya constituency are calling on authorities to fix the bad state of the roads in their community. They say they have been compelled to spend huge amounts of money on shock absorbers and tires because of the terrible state of the roads there. Maxwell Agaba has more from the community.
It's a sprawling community, a developing community, but the terrible state of roads here is giving headache to the residents here. Not just them, but also commuters, persons who use this road daily. Well, these deep gullies you see run right in the middle of the road here.
The road nature, the network is really bad. And as you might have spoken to other people, they would attest to the fact that it's really a bad road. It's quite a road that accessible road that you can even use through towards to Kumasi if you are going. So I don't see why we should always be at the receiving end in this regard. The road nature, is very bad. Now we also have issues of security, and it's really affecting us as well.
Have you tried speaking to authorities, getting authorities to fix the road?
Yes, we've written several letters to this effect. We've written to the office, how do you call it, the opinion leaders, those who sold the land. We've spoken to them. We've even spoken we've written to the Truck Owners Association, and the help is just not coming.
Residents say all attempts to get the roads fixed have yielded no positive results. I've been speaking to some motor riders who frequent the stretch. They say residents have been compelled to use their service because the roads are in a terrible shape. We are told by residents that not even taxis would want to ply this route many of them would charge exorbitant prices just to get to this side of town. The residents are compelled to use motorbikes, women, children, and men alike.
Yetimi yanka ye papa afriha madina besi maira ko sisam samjanshi media nanso ma jai kwana ye basa anso penifo bresisi da o area nanso aye basa anti SSA ye ho adwuma.
Okay, well, he's saying that the road has been left unattended. There are a lot of influential people who live in this community, but nothing has been done about the state of the road here. She's been compelled, they've been compelled and forced to use motorbikes to get to their destinations because cars do not ply this route. It is increasingly difficult to get a taxi or a car, so they have to resort to a motorbike. She said she's heading to the hospital and she has to sit on a motorbike to the hospital.
It's raining and it is exposing our roads more. Even without the rains, our roads are exposed. Now it's raining, our roads, we are getting so much trouble.
The residents attribute the problem to the heavy trucks that ply this route to cut rocks on the other side of this community. Well, they are saying that authorities need to move in quickly to solve the situation here. Many of them are worried that they have to spend a lot of money on shock absorbers, sometimes even on ties. Money going down the drain here.
The road, this is one of the worst roads in Domi-Kwabenya constituency, and it is so bad that, I mean, when it rains, you cannot do anything. It is something that we still don't understand why the citizens here cannot be looked after, or attention cannot be brought in here for the roads to be fixed. I mean, even if it's once a while that the authorities are able to come here and then try to see if they can even get the road leveled for us to be able to ply it without having challenges. I mean, these are basic needs. It is everywhere. These are basic needs. It is like you building. If you are not able to do a good foundation, how do you put up the whole building? Give us a good foundation, because these are the same people who will be coming here during their elections, because it is to their own interest. They come here, they try to make sure we are okay to be convinced that vote for us, and then when we come, we can do something. It is not happening, especially when it rains. The trucks that ply this road, boss, you have no idea.
The opposition NDC is cautioning President Akufo-Addo against commissioning the Tema motorway expansion project without the involvement of former President Mahama. The party alleges there are attempts by the Akufo-Addo administration to take credit for the project, which was initiated by the former president. Government is expected to commission the motorway flyover Friday. But at a news conference Thursday, the NDC asked government to invite former President Mahama to the ceremony. Amos Blessing Amos is a deputy regional youth organizer.
Before the construction works on the first phase of the project could start, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the National Democratic Congress lost the election painfully in 2016. The project was that bequeathed to His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's government. So this means Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo inherited the Tema motorway expansion project and the flyover at the runabout from the NDC government led by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. The Akufo-Addo government, having been briefed on the importance of the project and all the financial arrangements, cast sought for the construction work to start. These processes gave birth to the motorway flyover that the Akufo-Addo government intends commissioning tomorrow, June 5th, 2020. Even at the short-cutting ceremony, which was done by His Excellency the Vice President, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, there was no mention of President John Mahama as the brain behind the project. We in the NDC are not unaware of schemes to credit the Akufo-Addo government as initiator of the project. The reason being that during the sword-cutting ceremony, if the NPP government had at the back of their mind that they will credit His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the NDC government for initiating project, they would have mentioned it. So if they are about to commission the project, we have every cause to believe that they have no intention to credit His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the NDC government for initiating the project and also bequeathing it to them. But as has been stated, facts are sacred. No amount of fact twisting can change it. It will be recalled that when late President Professor John Evans Atta Mills inherited the George Walker Bush Highway from President John Ajekun Kufuor, he credited his predecessor for initiating the project and also showed statesmanship by inviting him to its commissioning. The NDC, and indeed Ghanaians, expect nothing short of this from President Akufo-Addo if he really believes honesty is a true virtue of a public officer. To be exact, we expect President Akufo-Addo to invite President John Dramani Mahama not only to the commissioning of the motorway interchange, but any other commissioning of projects he inherited from President John Dramani Mahama. In view of these facts, it is evidently clear that the said project was an initiative of President John Mahama at a time President Akufo-Addo, then opposition leader, and his MPP members were questioning the relevance of such project to the people of Ghana. With the foregoing evidence establishing a clear inheritance of such a project from a visionary leader, we expect President Akufo-Addo to espouse these virtues in these last days of his presidency as he prepares to commission the facility. As expressed in Article 35, Clause 7 of the 1992 Constitution, President Akufo-Addo must take steps to continue all projects started by John Mahama and publicly acknowledge his predecessor who bet the idea and placed priority on the project motivated by its economic and social benefits to the country and the society.
Government says it has injected 9 million Ghana cedis into the tourism industry to boost the sector's growth. The tourism sector has been one of the hardest hit by the COVID-19 pandemic, with hotels, restaurants, and resorts witnessing a severe decline in patronage and revenue. Addressing the media at the Information Ministry on Thursday, Sector Minister Barbara Oting-Gyesi revealed government sourced the funds from the World Bank under the Ghana Tourism Development Project, and that it will be accessed by industry players heavily hit by the pandemic.
The tourism ministry has been the hardest hit since COVID-19. Borders have been closed and still remain closed, but has impacted negatively on hotels and restaurants and pubs as well as clubs. Today, at a briefing by the Minister of Tourism, Barbara Oting-Gyesi, they says that the industry has lost $171 million in the first 4 months.
The initial assessment that we undertook indicated that for the first 4 months, between March and June 2020, we are going to have a loss of about 171 million loss registered to the industry or to the country because of the lack of operation of the industry.
It has become very, very important to revive the industry now more than ever, and they have put in place measures to do so. As part of their guidelines, they have also boosted the industry with $9 million in addition to other funding projects that will help boost the SMEs and other businesses that suffered during this period.
The stimulus package of 600 million Ghana cedis through the NBSSI to stimulate economic activity of businesses in the SME sector, as well as the 3 billion facility for larger businesses, will also benefit the operators in the tourism and hospitality sector. Also, the ministry, under the Ghana Tourism Development Project, which is a World Bank funded project, an amount of $9 million has been earmarked for interventions to boost the tourism industry.
Madam Barbara Otinjesi also relayed guidelines for industry players, especially event organizers, to obey as restrictions gradually ease.
We must observe strict social distancing of not less than 1 meter and a maximum of 50% of the carrying capacity of the venue, or a maximum of 100 persons per event as directed by His Excellency the President. For the guidelines for the activities, you need to critically observe social distancing. Tables which are designed to hold 10 persons should be reduced to 50% capacity. So now the tables must hold a maximum of 5 persons. And also, we must, the MCs for the events must undertake demonstrations of the protocols to further educate the patrons at such events.
Assembly says it has deployed its officials to begin the collection of data on churches so the authority could ensure compliance with the guidelines for the easing of COVID-19 restrictions. Speaking to the media during a Zoom line disinfection of mosques and some schools in the metropolis, the mayor of Accra, Mohammed Ejesoa, stated there are also plans to disinfect the markets again. Maxwell Agbagba has more.
The Bema Camp, Kolegono, and the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission Headquarters mosques were among some places disinfected by the team of sprayers. The Religious Affairs Ministry on Monday outlined detailed guidelines for the safe reopening of churches and mosques. The leaders of these bodies are expected to ensure their members adhere to the social distancing and safety protocol during worship. However, Second Deputy Amir of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission, Alhaji Abdul Wahab Issa, said it will be difficult to adhere to the protocol, hence they are suspending congregational prayers for now.
In our bit, but as a matter of fact, we need to be clear on this matter that the restrictions that the President has communicated to the nation will not be easy to apply in any mosque or any place where religious gatherings are held, because the numbers that he mentioned in the statement are not going to be easy to ensure in any such places of worship. So we have also communicated to our people the 100 maximum and then 25% capacity of these houses of God. We have communicated to our members, and we asking them to stay put until further communications are given. Then we can see whether we can actually step in and continue our worship in congregations like we used to do before. In Islam, prayers have specific timings, prescribed timings. Although some of them have ranges. If we take the evening prayer, for example, it's a point time. You cannot say that people continue coming in sections and that kind of stuff. It's a point time. You must go in and worship at that time. Jummah is a service that takes quite a bit of time. In our mosque here, Jummah normally lasts for about 2 hours. So it's not possible to do it in sections. That is not going to be possible.
The mayor of Accra, Mohammed Ejesoa, said he has deployed officials to start collecting data of churches to help enforce the required directives.
Before you start, so that by the time you are starting, we'll have a fair idea that in terms of social distancing, how many people are allowable within the mosque or the church. And that's what the Assembly is also doing at the moment. The disinfestation started from the markets across. We did 137 markets within the Greater Accra region. We started the first. And then there's plans also to do another round of disinfestation as well within the market. I must say that the wearing of nose masks has become an acceptable standard measure of curbing the spread. And wherever you pass in Accra, people are wearing it. And even if you see anybody who is not wearing it, he may have it in his pocket or hidden somewhere, that by engaging the people will do so. So we do periodic checks, especially in the market. And it appears that this is something that over 90% of people that come into Accra have bought into it.
The Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, the Zongo and Inner Cities Development Ministry, and Zoom Lion will continue with the disinfection of all mosques.
Staff of Pantan Hospital say they will embark on an indefinite strike action to protest the constant threat and attacks from land guards. At a press conference Tuesday, Public Relations Officer for the Joint Union Executive of the hospital, Elvis Ekwamwa, indicated that a few weeks ago, nurses were attacked and robbed on their way home by land guards. He says several reports to security agencies have yielded no results, hence their decision to withdraw health services.
A worried, afraid health worker is a danger to any healthcare system you can find. Today we are not in normal times. Healthcare workers are afraid of, contracting COVID-19. And in this environment, for us here, we need to top it up with fear of losing our lives, fear of being attacked, fear of getting maimed. And we have said that. We don't want to go to a funeral for the duty bearers to come with cameras and say the nice things. We want a situation where they are being proactive and addressing our concerns. What do we want? We want the entire hospital to be fenced. We want security for this hospital. Preferably the military should be deployed to give us security. When we see that, then we feel safe, and then we can return to work, and we can probably reverse our roadmap. But until then, we'll go ahead with our roadmap. Nurses and doctors on night duties couldn't feel free, to and from work. They were being attacked, here and there, taking their personal effects and mobile phones and all of that. Some of our female staff, narrow escape from rape, incidences, and Adenta Police Station has all the records. 3 years on, since 2017, we've not seen an end to this. It's rather getting worse. And quite recently, there was a gun battle between armed thugs and police. And we are scared. There are a whole lot of miscreants around us whose backgrounds we can't even verify because of the structures that are being erected, the unauthorized structures, some completed, some uncompleted, and they are housing a lot of dangerous people. And it has made our lives so dangerous working here.
And if you love to consume the dairy product Fun Milk but concerned about how it is handled by vendors, there is good news for you. The manufacturer Fun Milk is giving all of its agents and vendors sanitizers produced by the pharmacy at the University of Ghana Medical Center. The company distributed the sanitizers on Thursday to the University of Ghana Medical Center and Korle Bu teaching hospitals. Hannah Odame was with the team and has now filed her report.
The School of Pharmacy made us aware that they could make hand sanitizer. So through this collaboration between a corporate entity and academia, we have come up with this product. And this is just a way of us saying thank you for all you do, thank you for all you're doing.
Director of Research and Innovation at FANICE, Oluranti Campbell, on why the University of Ghana Medical Center and the company collaborated to produce sanitizers. 200 liters of these products have been received by the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital.
We are going to put this donation to good use with homegrown solutions like these locally made sanitizers. Most of our staff, as well as our patients, as well as all the COVID-19 protocols will be observed, particularly hand washing and use of sanitizers.
At the University of Ghana Medical Center, Dr. Darius Osei was hopeful the partnership between the two institutions will continue.
Most of these things are going to be the things we'll be using because COVID has come to stay. And I don't know the definition for post-COVID, as been said. Definitely we're going to have to learn how to live with it. And these are the things which will be required every day for us to do our work. We want to thank you very much. And then we appreciate it. We'll put them in good use. Thank you.
Head of Marketing at FANICE, Edwin Amwako, said all agents and vendors of the FANICE product are observing all safety protocols that are needed to ensure their safety as well as their consumers.
They're not supposed to sell it. We sponsor them to produce something locally, and this production is being donated not just to the University of Ghana Medical. We are also going to use to give to our agents and our distributors to use to sanitize their places. So we basically are using everything that they produced.
For Joy News, I am Hannah Odame.
And I'm Aisha Ibrahim coming to you in the studio. Now, the Kintampo Health Research Center has received a major boost to start COVID-19 tests after a former municipal chief executive for Kintampo North under the Eswa Akufo administration, Abdullahi Abdul Razak, donated an amount of $30,000 to the facility to purchase testing equipment. Authorities in the Bono East region had earlier called on government to upgrade the facility into a COVID-19 testing facility to aid the region's fight against the pandemic. Anas Sabit has more in the following report.
Established in the year 1994, the Kintampo Health Research Center is one of 3 field research centers of the Health Research Unit of the Ghana Health Service. With over 20 years of experience in health research in Ghana, the center is highly regarded as a preferred partner in health research initiatives. Now, since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic and with pressure mounting on the few testing centers in the country, authorities at the Kintampo Health Research Center have been calling on government to consider the Kintampo Health Research Center as a testing facility for the region. Here is the Municipal Chief Executive for Kintampo North, Mr. Michael Sarkodie Bafo, making a call for this consideration.
The research center has capacity to test, but apparently it was lost at a point in time when the health minister was announcing or mentioning possible testing areas. It was apparently missing. And so I'm using this to appeal to the health authorities to look at Kintampo Health Center. It has the capacity. I'm reliably informed that it has capacity to also test.
Though the facility has the human capacity to carry out tests, the center is without certain sophisticated equipment to kickstart these tests. A former municipal chief executive for Kintampo North, Mr. Abdullahi Abdul Razak, has donated an amount of $30,000 to the regional health management team for the purchase of some testing equipment. Receiving the donation on behalf of the regional health management team, Bono East Regional Minister Mr. Kofi Amwakohene expressed gratitude to Mr. Abdul Razak for the gesture, adding that the move would go a long way in complementing the COVID-19 fight.
I am grateful to be part of this activity, especially as we have been calling for the research center to be part of the testing sites. Judging from its locality and success in previous scientific works that have led to improved health. Thanks to the donors, that is Mr. Abdullahi Razak and family, this kind of gesture has opened an entire milestone for Bono, Ahafo, Bono East, and indeed the entire country in our fight against COVID-19.
For the Regional Health Director, Dr. Fred Adumaku-Boateng, he appealed to the people to extend their support to the health management team as testing remains key to winning the COVID-19 fight.
You cannot really appreciate the joy that we have, because we know that in our fight against COVID-19, this kind gesture that has been shown Ghana Health Service, and for that matter, Bono East, is going to go a long way in addressing some of the gaps that we have. And I know that we are going to see the results of this gesture. I will just, at this point, ask a lot to come on board. We need a lot.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Kintampo.
And we're still live on Joy News Prime, and because we're free to air, because we're on DTT, there is more in business when we return from this break. Let's do more.
more business news. My name is Sandra Esenamap. An agri-communication firm, Isoko Ghana, says food prices will trade mixed for the month of June, with some going as much, commodities recording lower prices. This prediction is not different from what was recorded in May, where some commodities made as much as 12% gain. More on the outlook for the month of June in the following report.
The Isoko Market Report tracks farm gate prices across major markets. It assesses prices of the various commodities like cassava, gari, maize, millet, rice, tomato and yam. The report showed that most of the commodities during last month witnessed some significant increase in terms of prices. For instance, the price of cassava shot up by over 12% in May. On Outlook, Isoko is predicting the prices of some commodities could continue to go up, while some may witness a marginal increase.
Gradually, we are approaching the harvest season for a lot of the commodities that are traded on the local markets. And so once we do that, traders want to prepare by moving out the old stock and then preparing for the new ones that will be coming. And so that is how come we are predicting that there is going to be a mixed we are going to have prices trading mixed in the month of June.
But looking at how the COVID-19 pandemic may not be ending anytime soon, could things get out of hand in terms of price shoot up? And how could that impact on the general price levels of goods and services, as well as the cost of living? So far, the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, has warned that a country could have issues regarding food security if resilience is not built to sustain Ghana's food basket.
Meanwhile, the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, wants a comprehensive look into concerns over high food prices in Ghana. Abebe Hali Gabriel is the FAO Assistant Director General and Regional Representative for Africa.
To understand why the price of food is increasing, why the cost of food is going up. Unless we understand the root causes, we will not be in a position to address them. The solution is to make sure that there is a sustained food supply in the market. So what is it that is preventing us from making sure that there is enough food available in the markets? Is it logistic-related problems, transport-related problems? Is it trade-related problems? Is it production-related problems? You know, in agriculture, you don't just sow the seeds now and get the results tomorrow. It takes time. But unless the agricultural activities, including planting, are taking place at the right time, and if seeds and other inputs such as fertilizer are not provided to farmers at the right time, and if we miss the planting season, it means we will even contribute more.
We certainly have a lot to talk about regarding food prices, and thankfully I have been joined in the studios by General Secretary of the Agricultural Workers Union, Gawu, and Edward Kariwe. It's been a long time since we met, right?
Yes.
Thanks so much for joining me this evening. First of all, I want to find out from you, we've had reports from the regions about food prices. We have excess food on the market. We've had reports from the northern region about maize, for instance. We've also heard from the Volta region about watermelon, and part of the Ashanti region about eggs. There's a glut. Is it that there is excess food on the market, or we are just misusing the word glut?
Well, let me say good evening to the working people of this country, particularly farmers and the General Agricultural Workers Union. The word itself requires clarity in terms of how we use it. When we talk about food, food is generical.
Right.
In the sense that it encompasses a number of foodstuffs, different foodstuffs. So when you just say food, it looks as though everything that we consume, which is not poisonous, which is considered as food, is in glut. It is not the case. We always have isolated, overproduction at a particular time with particular crops in the past and continuously. If you take watermelon, it has a season. and then where it is produced. At the farm gate, you may have glut there. And in actual fact, when you talk about the farm gate price, that is not the price that we are talking about. Because how many people will consume it at the farm gate? We are talking about the price at the consumption place. That is at the market.
Right.
So if the price at the farm gate is very low, and there's so much of it, and it cannot be transported to where it is most needed, that is in the market.
So you had
then, of course, we are failing.
FAO, for instance, was talking about whether we need to relook at the situation and know whether it's a logistical problem or we have transport problem. From what you've monitored on the ground and being on the ground, what is the real situation? Why is it that, for instance, I was in part of the Volta region where I got a whole lot of watermelon selling for just 20 cedis, but I come to the central business district to buy watermelon and it's selling for just 20 cedis. Why do we have so much food down there and then people go buy them cheap and then come to sell it at an expensive price for people?
You see, we are in Accra here, so let's look at, just use this as an analogy. Whenever it just drizzles in Accra, we get floods. It's not because the rains are too much. It's just because the drainage within Accra is not properly organized. In the same way, if you take the agricultural sector, looking at production to transportation to the market centers, it's not well organized.
Right.
You know, there must be a free flow of what is produced to the consumer. And we have, over the years as a country, failed to address these structural challenges. So that is why you continue to find out that if you talk about the northern region, there is so much maize in the northern region. Yet, poultry farmers down within the Accra cannot even get that particular maize. You talk about watermelon in the Volta region, yet the price in Accra is prohibitive. It's because there's supposed to be a smooth connection between the production to the consumer. Now, how do we bring watermelon from Volta region to Accra? By what mode of transport? And how do we organize it?
But one will argue that we've had fuel prices really low recently. And so let's say even the Greater Accra region, they're producing a lot of watermelon. When you go to the Adan area, before you get to Sugakope, there's so much watermelon on that road. And fuel prices have been really low. So why should prices still be high? And we talk about inflation for the month of April, for instance. And that has been driven also by food prices. And it's high. So just trying so hard to understand the link between food prices being high and there's so much on the field, it's a bit baffling.
Yes, it's baffling because there is a disorganization of these different parts of agricultural production. You know, production is incomplete until it reaches the final consumer.
Right.
And we are not paying particular attention to that simple theory, which we now need to practicalize to make sure that whatever is produced, we quickly move it to where it is most needed.
Right.
We don't have those structures in place, or even where they are disorganized.
Right.
For instance, we are talking about fuel prices going down. That does not necessarily mean that transport prices will go down. That does not mean that if you are a transporter and you are hiring a vehicle either from Accra or from Volta region, for instance, to convey the watermelon to Accra, it is going to be cheaper.
Right.
It will not necessarily be just because fuel prices have come down. It will not necessarily be just because you have got production there. It will not necessarily be just because there is demand at the other side of the line. You need to make conscious efforts and make those structural challenges addressed so that they can be free flow.
Unfortunately, we have to leave it here. I mean, when it comes to food, we have a lot to talk about. We certainly revisit this topic again. But from the local commodity market to the international commodities now, crude oil traded for $39, $57 a barrel. Gold went for $1,717.58 an ounce. Here are the market figures. how we wrap up for business tonight. My name is Sandra Essen. I'm happy to log on to myjoyonline.com/business for more business news update. Do stay at home, stay safe, and stay beautiful. And thanks so much for watching.
Thank you for staying with us on Joy News Prime. This is the second hour of the sport. I'm Gary Al Smith. Kurt Okraku was given the nod to be GFA president last October. Since then, he's undergone several initiatives and also done many things in order to take the football forward since the Anas documentary. However, the verdict has been out from many quarters. It's not the case with his fellow GFA presidential aspirant, Amanda Clinton, who says that it's too early to have a verdict on Kurt Okraku's leadership.
Give people 6 extra months to give a definite view. You don't give them a bit of leeway, a bit of rope, in order for them to either hang themselves or to prove what their style is. Sure. And within the GFA in particular, you know, it had become almost insipid to a certain extent, right, whereby, you know, people criticize Kurt a lot because he brought a lot of his own people in. And then from another standpoint, looking at it, you're like, well, if he felt as if everything he does is going to be leaked and criticized and he's not in control, he had to take control to a certain extent.
Bring in people he trusts.
Yes, bring in people he trusts. So the delegates are very quick to sort of criticize and be incredibly negative. I mean, I've never had any delegates say anything positive about anybody in Ghana football, ever. Wow. I mean, hardly, like of late.
Yesterday at the press briefing between the Sports Ministry and Information Ministry, one journalist, you know, went a bit off the table to ask about the debts the Sports Ministry owes former Ghana coach Kwesi Appiah. It's about 185,000, and the Honorable Minister Isaac Esiama had this response to that question.
Coach Kwesi Appiah has done a lot for Mother Ghana. I have huge respect for that gentleman. We have nothing against him. We, through the FA, contacted him, gave an appointment. We all fully supported him. In all the assignments he engaged in, as a minister, I had a direct instruction from the president, give him full support, which I did. All the support I did. So we provided all the support to him. We gave a contract for 2 years. For the 2 years, we don't owe him a peso. We paid everything. There was a contract extension. If that one, we paid about 3 months or so. Not about 3 months. So it's not that we have been so disrespectful to the gentleman, and we have been uncared. Not at all. No. We've shown care, concern to the gentleman. We've given that respect as a Ghanaian. That respect. When I became a minister, Abraham Grant, we owed him at that time. Gradually, we resolved it and paid him off. So I can assure the nation that gradually we shall pay Kwesi Appiah all his entitlements. I can assure you. We love him as a Ghanaian. He's one of our own. We can never do anything against Coach Kwesi Appiah. He's done a lot for Mother Ghana. We respect him. We call him Maile. We respect that gentleman. He's a gentleman, so we all respect him.
That gentleman was in charge of the Black Stars for a second stint, and one of the key tournaments he took the country into was the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations. It did not come without controversy, however, especially when he decided to take the captaincy away from Asamoah Gyan and give it to Andre Ayew. Reflecting on that decision, former Ghana international Samuel Osei-Kuffour says Kwesi Appiah's decision-making on that was a bit not good.
A bit disturbing.
Okay.
For the NC. I was an NC member. And to our side, to the coach, to the both players, you know, we need to come to a compromise and talk about the situation and so on. But I could see some people are hurt somewhere. You could see that Asamoah was really hurt about this whole situation. But how to manage the situation was the key. You know.
Do you think it's been managed well? Do you think the NC managed it well?
Well, even
the coach and the
it goes all the way to the president.
Okay.
So NC has become a limited. You understand? NC has nothing more to say about it. That's why the old man comes in and spoke to the two of the players, with the coach, and then the ministry. So it was a little bit, in my view, was a bit hectic. Why can't we wait till maybe we finish the tournament, then we change the captaincy. You have how many days to go, and then you change those things, and then you bring, Germany was just say cows into the team. This one is happy, this one is not happy, this one is happy, this one is not happy. You know, do we need that at that time?
Muftau Nabila with that report. So just to finish off, don't forget that you can also check our Instagram where we update on, you know, what's trending. So that's our Instagram page, Joy Sports GH. The latest post has to do with Kojo Adai-Mensah. Now, he's asking the big question, how much does football contribute to Ghana's economy? And he says he thinks it hovers around 5 to 7%. And he goes on to say that, you know, we can figure out how much it contributes to the economy through average taxes from salaries, attendances, and extrapolate, and so on and so forth. So you can see more on his analysis of the situation on our Instagram. That is Joy Sports GH. And that is how we end today's sport. I'm Gary Al Smith. Thank you for your time. You can get more sport, myjoyonline.com. All the best.
And it's time for the interactive segment. You've been following the June 4 celebrations, and former President Rawlings has been speaking. You remember that cough this afternoon? Take a listen.
Another pedestal. It's an old man's cough. It's not coronavirus. But your mommy smoke a growl. Obini order your mommy. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, and that's the former president. Rawlings, and we posted this on our Facebook page. It's generated a lot of comments. Evans Manel Simensa says, this is why I love this man, Papa J. And Asoma Banda says, can't stop loving you, Papa J. Great son of Mother Ghana. Tabitha Book says, this great man. Fat Dealer says, I love his hair. I'm sure it's because of coronavirus. Edward Nabzor says, my great Papa J. Kobe Douglas says, Efo Kwashi Rawlings, the golden and proud son of Madam Agbochi. And Kingsley Bonti says, I just love him. Gifty Kwashi says, you're scared of being quarantined. And Genevieve Kwasika says, I love this man. Kwesi Simon says, I love this man. Asamoah and his 4 more for Nana says, this man looks really fresh. Paul Yen says, did he dye his hair? And Innocent Kosi says, this man is the real legend. Kate Dodu says, ha ha ha, my papa that's all. And DM Komlan says, chairman. Dovnine says, power to the people. And Ishmael says, all the Papa V's, same hair. Betty Dulcie says, action now. And a right Joadepa, a champion says, ha ha ha, they fear. Samuel Kwating says, Papa J. And Sanusi Ayatoloba says, look very good even in old age. And Emma Ekua Santoa says, the hair, wow. And it's been all, you know, praises for the former President Rawlings. Israel, I mean, he says it's just an old man's cough.
Yes. So there's another post where Rawlings this time he's talking about the also for Mube Bre, and I don't know if we can play that one, and we can get to read the comments underneath it.
Is that Z? But that's you. You think I couldn't recognize you? The things I'm getting old. You saw without my glasses I can't see, but she doesn't know I've got my glasses on. Can't she see I've got my glasses on? Wanonyi, she did an interview on Nigerian television. You should see it. She was a sight to behold. I'm really proud of this lady, you know. But she's a rock iron ass. Oh, so far. Mube bread.
Okay, and so there's some comments underneath it. I'd like to share that with you. Augustini. Yeah, it says, very interesting. Congratulations, Freddie Guy says, the man of the game has spoken. My Papa J. Yeah, that's Nayeli Hammond. Then Asari Anointing says, Papa J, you do all. And Kofi Beho says the patriotism is still there. Interesting. Hope and pray, says. So I'm just looking at, Papa J and the way he's coming across. And it reminds me of some very troublesome old folks that I've had in my life. And I'm wondering, could he probably be troubling the people at home already? Because out there, he's doing it to people. But yeah.
I bet you, I sense trouble.
His new hair or the new look, actually, I'm wondering, is it because of the lockdown? He's refusing to go see a barber? What could be the issue?
I guess so, Israel. I guess
but anyway,
it's because of the coronavirus.
Yeah. But that'll be it for the bulletin. I'm Israelai, and over to you, Aisha.
And my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs.